Here it comes.
Yeah, that's like that. Hit him in the chest with it. One time again in the head. But buddy roll, y'all. Check it out.
I don't know what this world's gonna bring, but I know one thing, that this is the life for me.
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
All day, every day,
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
wouldn't change for the world.
Cause I'm a thug.
That's right, you heard.
Baby, cause I'm a thug.
I'm hot, oh yeah.
Check it out. Could it be my bag of jeans and my gold teeth that make me different from y'all? Ain't tripping, dog. But listen, dog, I was raised a little different, y'all.
And
Ooh-wee.
that's a full 48 seconds. But I had to because this song doesn't have a lot of lyrics
Right.
except for that chorus.
Yeah.
And it's Trick Daddy.
I'm not scared of
Thugs
that.
are us.
Yeah, they are.
And that song is I'm a Thug. But you know,
Me too.
when
I'm
I
a
was
thug.
searching for this on Google, I wrote it like I'm so
Right.
like IMMA.
Yeah.
I'm a Thug.
Yeah, you are.
Because I'm like, it's going to be an Ubonics, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, it's I'm a Thug.
I
In
am a
proper
thug.
Queen's English.
I am a thug.
And I'm like, well, that's pretty dope, a Trick Daddy.
That's right.
We might get in trouble for that one, but you know, we'll see. I doubt it.
See how that goes.
Yeah. I'm just gonna click love on that song because I love it. And hey, man.
Hey, man, to you.
So we just broed out for a while.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you guys don't
That's
know this,
good.
but Luke and I, we don't really hang as much as we should. So we decided tonight we're gonna just bro out a
Definitely.
little bit.
Need that sometimes.
How do we sound in your headphones?
Not that good, actually.
Yeah, I don't.
I wonder what's going on here.
Are they plugged all the way in?
Yeah, seems to be.
You're quiet. Are you feel like it's quiet too, though, eh?
I feel like it's quiet.
Record level. Hang on. Hello, 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 hello. Well, that sounds a bit better.
Yeah,
Does it?
getting there. Maybe.
That's as high as it goes, though.
I don't know. What about over here?
Oh, volume. Volume.
There we go. Maybe we just had
How
it.
did that happen?
I think we just had it down in the headphones. Maybe. I don't know.
And we're recording at like maximum level now. I'm okay with that, though.
Yeah. That's okay. We're good. We're good. What's up?
Welcome to the Jody Mitic podcast, episode
24.
24. That's 2 dozen. That's like you go to the grocery store, you say, hey, I need 2 dozen eggs.
Couple does.
Extra large.
That's
brown,
right.
double yolk.
Oh, I'm not messing around with those teeny tiny eggs.
Teeny tiny. 1 yolk.
Get that out of
What's
my-
that for good for?
Get that out of my face.
Ain't gonna get no gains from
No.
1 yolk.
No gains with one yolk.
Brought to you by Firehouse Coffee Roasters. As you know, if you've heard the show, it's Firehouse, like the Germans, Haus, Firehouse Coffee Roasters on Facebook. Give Glenn a message. He will send you some coffee. It will be glorious, and your year will be set.
He's got his Christmas blend out, too. I got to get
You got some Christmas blend? Why aren't we
Yes,
sipping
sir.
on it right now?
That's right. That's what I'm saying. I got to pick it up.
Get your Christmas game on, son.
That's right.
The microphone cover is like making my lips like itchy.
Yeah.
But it's the only way people hear us. Did you listen to our last episode?
Yeah.
Todd was great,
Yeah.
but he's quiet.
I didn't think it was too quiet, though. Like I,
I was
told you.
maybe it's my Jeep though.
I think so.
I often drive around listening
Yeah.
to us. Very narcissistic, I know, but whatever. It's called the Jody Mitic podcast. Hey,
Right?
What are you gonna do?
Right?
What are you gonna do? A politician? They vote Jody Mitic.
There you
I got
go.
a book.
Yeah, that's
Says, hey,
right.
buy Jody Mitic. Podcast also brought to you by my book, Unflinching: The Making of a Canadian Sniper by Simon & Schuster, available at all bookstores near you, unless you are outside of Canada, in which case you can get it on the Amazon. And we're going to get an Amazon link soon.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Website's almost done. And almost have T-shirts picked out for you guys giving us shit on the Twitter. What was that guy's name?
We're catching a little heat on it.
I know people want to support us.
Steven.
And I really appreciate that. But
Yeah.
hey, guys, we are rushing into quality. We're not rushing into mediocrity.
That's
so
right.
We're taking our time. We're choosing our vendors. We want to get the best price, best quality for you guys, and the best design. I hope you guys can appreciate that. And when you're ready, we want to do pre-sale
Yep.
And you guys just gobble them all up. Nom, 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 nom,
Gobble
nom,
up these t-shirts.
and then we'll order all these T-shirts and we'll make some money and we'll put it into the podcast and it'll get even better.
That's right.
Did you notice the Fighter and the Kid podcast has gone independent?
Yes, sir.
You heard that, eh?
Yep.
They got a nice new logo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
we're-
cool. I like
It is cool. I'm
Yep.
pretty impressed with that, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. I like
Not
it.
that they did it. I mean, I had no doubt that people like that could do it. It's just usually if you're with something like Fox, you kind of stick with it.
Right, yeah.
But they were like, "See ya,
Yeah, no problem for them. We're
adios,
outta here.
muchachos."
Yeah.
So listen, guys, because Luke and I don't spend enough time together, and we just want to hang out a little bit. We're gonna be a little lazy this week, and it's not really lazy because when Luke was off killing things, mostly venison, which we're still waiting for, I guess you're saying.
Still waiting. Yeah, I talked to my dad this afternoon,
Yeah.
and he said that that the butcher's been so slammed with bow
That
hunters
he hasn't even got to your stuff.
that he hasn't got to it yet.
Now, does he butcher it, or do you guys skin it and then he butchers it? Like, how does it work?
We skin it, and
Okay.
then he butchers.
So you deliver the skinned carcass to him,
That's right.
and so he does it. So you don't even quarter it or anything.
No, we don't.
Like,
he
how
takes
hard
care
would
of all
that be? Like, I watch Meat Eater. Honestly, like Vernella makes it look like it's nothing.
Yeah, I don't think it would be too bad,
Yeah.
but just like as long as you know how to get all the good cuts, right? And as long as you're not like wasting meat. So I mean, it would take some research, but I'm sure that you could do it
Well,
yourself.
he had a whole episode on how to skin a deer.
Right.
Did you see that one on
don't think so.
Netflix?
No, I haven't gotten
They only
through
have like
enough of
season
them yet.
5 and 6 or
5
4
and 6,
and 5.
yeah. I've only caught the first maybe 3 or 4
Okay,
of season
so
5.
in season 6 on Netflix, he
Right.
has one where he skins a couple deer.
Yeah.
And then he shows you how to like. Apparently, deer tallow is very bad. Like, it's not good. It's not a good fat, so you don't want
Right.
to use it.
Right on.
And blah blah blah. But like he goes through it. It's
Right.
pretty interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah.
seek that one out.
Yeah, it's pretty
I
good.
dig that.
So anyway, while Luke was gone, I met up with a dude named Jeff Alpaw, who is a Canadian Armed Forces member, but he's also not just a member; he's an officer in the Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, and he's like Ranger qualified. He's like led like troops into like international reconnaissance contests.
Oh,
and
so
done
you're
well.
talking about a badass.
He's certified
Certified badass.
certified badass.
Okay.
He's not a full BAMF though. I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna say that.
Sure, room to grow.
A little
good.
room to grow.
That's good.
I'm just busting his balls a little bit
Yeah,
though.
of course.
He's a boy. he's a bro.
Yeah.
If you check his Facebook page, he's a bro.
He's a bro.
But he's such a dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met him. Okay, let me introduce you guys. So Jeff Alpaw, and he owns the company Jeff Alpaw Customs, which is the most dangerous dress shirts in the world, and he'll make you custom shirts. So basically, if he can't measure you, you measure yourself.
Yeah.
Send him your measurements, and he will do you up a shirt with the pattern as you request. He'll put
Nice.
your name in it, everything. Just kind of like how I go to Sure Measure.
Yeah.
And now he was going to make me some shirts for the bodybuilding contest.
Right.
But as we all know now, I fell off the rails. I actually announced it in this podcast because it's before you came back.
That's right.
But after I dropped out.
Okay.
So you guys who listen to the show are going to hear that again. And again, I apologize to you guys, and I know we addressed it in the last episode. But I'm gonna make it up to you guys, and I'm gonna make it up to myself. I just booked my trip to SHOT Show in Vegas.
SHOT Show.
SHOT Show. It's the biggest gun show in the world.
Awesome.
And well, it's not really a gun show. It's a weapons show. So it's for like. No, that's not true. It's all of the military vendors are there.
Okay. Right on.
Tons of military representatives, but I should double check. But I'm pretty sure sporting rifles are there too.
Right.
But regardless, I'm going because Colt Canada, who makes the Canadian Armed Forces weapon, which is basically it looks like a American M4.
Right.
If you know what that is, then you'll know what I'm talking about. They came out with a new one called the MRR, the multi-rail rifle, and it's dope. So they made me one. They made me a lower with 2 uppers, and then if you know how an AR works,
A little bit.
so you can break it in half. So the
Yep.
bottom is the trigger and the magazine well, and the upper is the bolt in the sights in the barrel, right? So they built me a DMR, designated marksman rifle, which is like an 18-inch barrel, unchromed, and you use heavy, like 75 grain, 77 grain, 5.56 ammo.
Right.
And then they built me an 11.5-inch upper as well.
Yeah.
For like close quarter battle.
Right on.
So the idea behind the package for me, because of it's like they're doing it as like they're saying it's like a thank you to me, and I'm just like, thank you.
Yeah, for
for
real.
building me this dope ass rifle.
Amazing.
And but if you look at the concept, right, you would like go into your area as a sniper, right, or as a sniper team.
Yep.
And you clear the building, or you clear your like area where you're going to set up in the bush, and then once you're in position, if you're the sniper, you just swap out the upper, and now you have a sniper rifle that's good out to between 4. Like if you had to make the shot, I probably wouldn't go much further than like 400 meters with it.
Right.
But
Okay.
you could definitely put down some like effective fire out to like 600, maybe even 800 if the winds were right.
That's badass.
With that rifle,
Yeah.
right? Anything further than that, so it's more like and that's why it's DMR, designated marksman. Marksmen aren't snipers,
Right. Okay.
right? But snipers are marksmen. If that makes sense.
I get you.
Yeah.
I follow.
Yeah. So same thing though. Like say you're a marksman, and your section commander, your platoon commander says, go to the top of that building and lay down, like cover us as we go down this street.
Yep.
Right. You can clear the building, go up there with your security partner, get in a position, swap out the upper for the DMR, or just use the DMR the whole time.
Right.
Because it's only an 18-inch barrel.
Brilliant.
Right? And then you're good to go.
Nice.
Damn, my nose always stuffs up when we start a show.
You get some nose stuff going on.
It's so, but like right before the show, I was like breathing just fine. And
Totally
now
fine.
because I'm talking, maybe that's why. Now I'm talking, so I'm
I
getting
think
out of
so.
breath.
Yeah. Everyone loves that.
I do this to a land in her ear. She'll be like, "Oh, take me now."
Definitely.
So anyway, Jeff Alpa, I think you guys will like him. I like him. I think he's dope, and I hope you guys appreciate how it goes. We got a ton of questions that we're gonna get to next episode. Episode 25 will be straight questions.
Yeah.
So anybody who's ever sent us questions, you can send them to us again, and we'll get them again. Luke, being the dope, awesome producer that he is, has been keeping a file on these things.
Oh, yeah.
And he's seen them all pretty much. So we're going to try and do a whole show of just questions.
That's right.
And, I think we'll stop it there. I hope you guys enjoy meeting Jeff Alpa. I apologize for any residual noise. We were at the Canadian Aviation Museum where we were doing a symposium on military transition to civilian life.
Right on.
And he was there to show off his shirts and stuff. And it was a good conversation, and he's a pretty cool cat, and I hope you guys enjoy it. This is Jody and Luke. And now Jeff.
Hey, man, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm ready for it.
Okay. We're recording.
I love it. Okay. I'm
Here-
here with Jody Mitic.
No. Settle the fuck down, first of all there, sir. Sir. This is the Jody Mitic podcast. I'm here with Jeff. Say your last name.
It's Al Paw, like Al the name, and then Paw like an animal's paw.
Alpa. Okay.
It's
So-
written incorrectly, but it's simple to say.
Right. So we were just talking about how you have to double check the spelling of people's names. Jeff Alpa, he's a member of the PPCLI, Princess Patricia's Canadian Light Infantry, currently posted to Fredericton. But on the side, my man makes the most dangerous shirt.
Is it me?
Is it you?
Yeah, is it me?
Is it you?
Is it me? All right, I think Jody just tossed the mic to me. And yeah, so we, my wife and I get all the credit.
Yeah.
And I am one of those guys, I'll admit, I get way more credit for stuff than I deserve, Right. It's a 50-50 partnership. We're
Right,
fire team
right.
partners.
Right. So you're saying Emily over here?
That's right. And she's the brains behind the operation.
Of course.
Yeah.
You met Alana. Like, what? Do I look smart? No.
Exactly.
No, come on.
Exactly.
We're infantry. Let's be honest.
Yeah, somebody's got to think and somebody's got to speak.
And then someone's got to do.
Yeah, 100%. So
before we get into all that, the reason why Jeff's on the podcast today is because he is a Canadian Army veteran entrepreneur, and he's a badass. And I heard about him long before he probably heard about me. Maybe. I don't know.
well,
I heard about you. We're at the Canadian Aviation Museum at the Canada Company Military Employment Transition Conference. If you are Canadian Forces and you are thinking about leaving the military for reals, check into Canada Company and see what event is happening near you in the future, because it's for when you go from being corporal, sergeant, captain, major to Mr. or Mrs. or ma'am.
exactly.
It's only Mr. for guys, right?
I believe so, unless you're going to be a doctor.
Right. No, but I'm just saying, like, once you leave the military and lose rank, it's Mr. for us. But the women have ma'am or miss or ms.
Yeah, the women have ma'am. I only say ma'am if I'm talking to a female in uniform. I find, although ma'am is respectful, it kind of does signify you think that they're fairly old. I find talking
A lot of women don't like
a
it. You're
female of any age, if you go, hey, Ms., I mean, if she's 14,
Right.
if she's 40, if she's 100, everyone's going to be happy with that.
right. Right.
And you got to keep
True.
it simple.
It's like when someone calls you sir.
I know
Right.
I'm going to lose some
Well-
friends in the military, but I'm very much looking forward to not being called sir.
Well, I mean, in
anymore.
civilian life, if you're at the liquor store and someone says, "Is that all, sir?" and you're
Uh,
like, "What? I'm not even 40 yet. Do I look that old?"
100%.
How old are you?
100%. I'm 31.
31. Oh, wow. How long you been in?
I've been in 8 years. By the time I'm done, be a little bit longer than that.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Jeff's military career, because you, for all intents and purposes, are a hard charger, despite your, your glossy appearance. You like to get dirty.
I do.
You did the Ranger course.
Mm-hmm.
Were you Pathfinder?
Man, that's the only one I didn't get.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I wrote a lot of memos, if that counts. It doesn't count. that doesn't equal a torch.
So you got the American Ranger course.
Mm-hmm.
What else you got?
I got advanced recce.
Advanced Raggy, good.
And the one you would have heard of, it's not a course, but certainly my coolest task, and it's not cool when you're the guy talking about it and bragging about it, but I do think some folks would find it interesting, is, have you heard of the International Special Operation Forces competition called Fuerzas Commando? It's that hard to say. It's
Where is it?
Fuerzas, which translate into essentially strong in our... when I went, it was held in Colombia. It's always held in South America. And
It sounded like something in South America.
Yeah, it's what it is essentially like kind of like a Pan Am Games of everyone in the Western Hemisphere. It's sponsored by the Green Berets, and it's a military competition. It's kind of like the Mortal Kombat of military competitions, but nobody does actually die for about 9 to 10 days. And I was fortunate enough because our special forces is very operationally deployed.
Yeah.
They weren't actually able to field a team that year. So
what year was this?
This was 2014, I believe.
Okay.
That's
And-
right. Hey,
and-
honey. Yes,
So
2014.
did you lead the team?
Yes, I did. So I had
And
that honor.
where'd you pick your troops from?
It was all one CMBG troops, and what we did is we had a 6-week training and trial, and it was an open call to every single soldier
Right on.
from Shiloh and Edmonton. Now, we only had, if you can believe it, we only had 30 folks show up for the tryout, and then from there, 14 were lucky enough to go to Petawawa, do 6 weeks of training, which is why I actually am very familiar with base Petawawa.
Yeah.
And then from there, 7 of us got to go onto the competition.
Yeah. Do the guys still go to the Cambrian Patrol competition?
Every
that
year,
still happen?
Every year. Yeah, I was just talking to a fellow. I got an injury, so I was at the MIR the other day, and I was like, "What brings you here?" He's like, "Cambrian."
Nice.
I'm like, "There you go."
So is this thing you were doing anything like Cambrian then?
Very-
sounds pretty similar.
Very different. The reason was because in the Cambrian there's a heavy patrolling aspect.
Yeah.
This was a lot more. Although there was, timed marches, timed runs, obstacle courses, and stuff like that, a lot of events were purely shooting events, if that makes
Shooting.
sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But more, there were events obviously at long range, but more were speed shooting, tack shooting, close range, different threats,
Yeah, right on.
shoot no shoot scenarios.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always wondered what events there were out there that we didn't do when I joined, because I joined in '94, and just getting to go to Cambridge Patrol was like
Incredible.
big fucking deal.
Of
And
course.
one year, our sergeant major, our RSM of the battalion said, "What did he say?" Basically, he said, "We don't have time to send troops on that bullshit because we got the RCR drill competition coming up." And I just about fell over because I'm like, man, like that's training and drill is like, okay, you look good. And on the RCR, right? What are we known for? Doing all the stupid drill.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
said, okay.
yeah.
Lots of my friends have done the drill competitions.
It's
and
a noble competition. There's certainly nothing wrong
but
with it.
I want to train for combat,
You
and
need
I want
to-
to train for the field.
You need to prioritize training every time. And, that guy, I was reading somewhere about fellows who were meant to test ropes, and that guy sounds like he might be one of them.
He's actually, in civilian life, was a great dude. He worked for, he ended up working for, what do you call that, the JPSU.
Really?
But anyway, I digress. So, I don't want to make fun of anybody, but but he came from, that was his generation of soldier too, right?
100%. Well, I will say this.
Post-Korea, pre-peacekeeping, what'd they do? They
Yeah.
fucking polished buttons and did drill.
And a lot of dog and pony type of stuff. Everyone in the military complains. We all know that. Just because you complain about the military doesn't mean like, oh, you don't like the military. Like the more you love it, I'd argue, the more you complain. But there are two types of people: the people who complain because the run was too long, the ruck was too heavy,
Yeah.
and people who complain because we're not doing absolutely everything we can to ensure that we're prepared to meet whatever the next threat to this country is.
Yeah.
And I think that every single time you need to prioritize actual military training. And we've all seen time and time again where, we say train as you fight, and sometimes it's fight to train.
Yeah.
And we're
actually, that's a really good one.
And that's the thing is we need to always prioritize training because our job is not to look pretty.
Dude, look, that thing came out about how troops are getting fat. What's
Oh.
the first thing that goes when op tempo goes up? And op tempo usually means you got to go here and do a dog and pony, and you got to go here and do this. And for whatever reason, it's like, oh yeah, we're just not going to do PT.
Well, I think that, if I was going to change that, now, I would have two things. I would have COs rather than be measured on how they, maneuvered their battalion attack, which is always going to be a frontal. And it's always going to work. I would test the individual troops on physical fitness and on marksmanship ability, individual marksmanship ability, and I would make that.
Wait, and then you would aggregate all that up and put it against the CO?
I would certainly because it doesn't need to be like, okay, this guy got all his troops are the best, or they're this or this, but that's where you can easily see, okay, hey man, you're not prioritizing any physical
But
training or any basic skills.
The counter to that, though, in defense of the CO, is what's his budget? Did he get a training budget? Like, what? Remember right after we pulled out of Afghanistan, what was that, 2011? The next year, the Army's training budget for ammo was cut by 80%. Or something crazy like that.
Okay, I agree with you. Certainly those don't need to be the only factors. Like
I'm just saying. The Army, you can't measure a guy and then say, well, you only get 100 rounds each to train.
But that guy could easily come back, hey, my guys are 80% less effective, but I was given 80% less resources, easily. I'm just saying, if that was something on maybe his PER, it would just be something always on the top of his mind. It would incentivize him to think, hey,
what is on a CO's PER?
I imagine it says leading change no matter what. But I have no idea.
Right. You got to, hey, just disclaimer, you're still in the military.
My COs know my opinion.
No, I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying.
And they don't disagree with me.
I'm just saying. Lots of people listen to this podcast, so I'm just saying.
All right. Jody's covering me, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Hey, look.
He's doing favors for me.
Look, I was the same when I was still in. Like, I said whatever I want. You guys can take issue with it, or you can just get out of my way. But anyway,
100%.
I was in a little bit of a different position than you are. Yeah, I love the Army. I got to be honest. Here's me. I love the Army.
Well,
but I
of course.
I hate's a strong word, but I'm not the biggest fan of the military system, the bureaucracy.
Agreed.
The overarching, the building across from me is NDHQ, and I love to look at it and see what it represents. But I also know inside of it are people that that say something like, I don't care how many tours to Afghanistan you have.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go there, so you're going to do it my way.
Mm-hmm.
Or
It's
realize
very unfortunate.
in our military, less people went to Afghanistan over 10 years than are actually in the military.
Agreed.
Right? And so we still have two other branches that felt very left out
Mm-hmm.
and are now, man, I feel bad for the Navy, frankly, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the Air Force, although they got some new equipment out of the conflict, they didn't get to participate maybe as much as they probably wanted to.
Oh, 100%.
And so I feel for that. And then all those things everyone's fighting for their piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
it's very unfortunate the way it is set up.
yeah, and there's some weird attitudes too coming out of there. Like the Air Force doesn't want to quote work for the Army. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah.
It's
It's always a with. It's all. It's always.
never. Yeah,
But
what do you mean?
that's what it should be. It
Shouldn't
should
it
always
be
be
with?
with. Yeah. It's like.
I mean, the Seesaw Squadron,
Mhm.
427 now, like that's all they do now
Mhm.
is work with the Army.
Mhm.
So probably their attitude will help change the Air Force. But I remember, who was the CDS, the last CDS, the Air Force guy? Do you remember? What was his name?
Lawson. Yeah, Lawson.
Yeah. Okay. So I met him. The first time I met him, I said, "Hey, cool F-35, probably dope. Probably
Yeah.
one of the coolest planes ever made. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Really expensive.
There's that.
How about we buy 63 of them, and you go ahead and get a couple squadrons of Apaches to support the Army, huh?"
Yeah,
And he's like,
yeah.
"We're not getting in the business of attack choppers." And I'm like, huh? Like, from the top Air Force guy who's the top of the military, no value in attack choppers?
It's.
You know how much ground support troops need? Like, how great would it be to get on the radio? I called in airstrikes from everything from a Predator drone to a B-2 stealth bomber.
Yeah.
And everything in between. From
Yeah.
France, England, the Netherlands, American Marine, American Army, like all that. And not once did I get a Canadian accent on the other end of the radio. Twice I had air support pulled because their own troops were in contact. Now, we weren't in like any danger.
No, I understand
But
it.
at the same time, like, wouldn't it be cool to have an aircraft that had priority on me?
That would be very cool.
So, anyway, that's just the musings of an old soldier.
Yeah, I think with the collaborative training that we could do, right, to make sure that the first time you're talking to this guy isn't maybe in a hairy situation where you're like, sorry, when you say A, it means something. No, it's just the way I talk. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Could have got that sorted out in Wainwright. I don't know.
Anyway, whatever. Let's talk more about shirts. What is the actual name of your company?
It is called Jeff Alpaw Custom.
Right.
Yeah.
And the shirt is
The world's most dangerous dress
the world's
shirts.
dress shirts.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
So do you have, what's the short like? So if I said the dangerous shirt,
Mm-hmm.
that's your shirt.
Totally. Everyone knows when you talk about dangerous shirts, you're talking about us, and everyone shortens it to JAC. And I will say, a lot of people think it's named after me because I'm a narcissist, and maybe I am, and that's why I feel the need to
Naturally.
to defend it. But if you look, any clothing brand that is a high-end clothing company is typically named after the designer.
Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger.
Exactly. If you're not that, if you're not Hugo Boss, if you're not Armani, right? Those are all people's names. Then you're kind of winners, Fruit of the Loom. That and there's nothing against them, but you know what I'm saying. If
American Apparel.
if you're not willing to put your name on it in clothing, it's like not willing to stand behind your product, right?
Right.
And you need to do that. Every person who's wearing a Jeff Alpaw Custom needs to know that I'm not just peddling them some junk. Like, my name is on the product. If
Yeah.
it's junk, I'm not looking too good out on the streets, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you need to make sure your product is so good and you're so proud of it that you want your name on it.
So 8 years in, you've done a lot for a guy with 8 years. You are captain?
Yes, I am.
You're a captain, so you've led troops. One day you wake up in the morning and you say, hey, you know what? I want to make bespoke shirts for people. Like, how the fuck does that happen?
Well, Jody, I am glad you asked that question. May I tell you a little bit of a story?
That's what we're here for.
Okay, all right. Now, Jody's going to come to our Dress for Success presentation at 3:30 because that's going to be amazing. So he's going to hear the story twice. But it's okay. It's a really great story. Some of you people will probably stop it and then replay it afterwards. But So I'm gonna take you right from the beginning because I've listened to some podcasts. I know we have time. So I was a young man. I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
Okay, and I went to business school. I wasn't interested in becoming a soldier until the Afghanistan war.
Right.
I loved the military. I thought it was great, but I'm from Toronto, and my understanding was that the Canadian Armed Forces were very underfunded. It wasn't cool. Like, it was only cool to be a soldier if you're American. I had a lot of very wrong
Part of Toronto.
North York.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had a lot of very wrong misperceptions and stuff like that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I did think it was cool, but that wasn't my thing. My thing was I wanted to be an entrepreneur, so I went to business school. By the end of business school, I had no idea, right? And I didn't know what was going on, and I thought I was going to learn all these crazy secrets of business school, and I didn't. I could have read like 3 textbooks. I'd have been just the same. But anyways, I was in they call it a business co-op program. So one semester I would work, and one semester I would study. And you had to get a job at like a white collar kind of business type of job. And a lot of people think because I have a custom clothing company and I'm usually looking fairly sharp when I'm out and about, and I am the best dressed man in NATO, that I must come from
Naturally.
a very bourgeoisie type of a family. Well, that's not my father. He still wears running shoes with his suits, and I can't stop him. I'm like, dude, that's just not good for the brand. What are you doing?
Full disclosure, I wear Converse with my suits.
Yeah, for you, it's a little bit, I think, of an easier sell.
It's more about comfort for me. I can't find a dress shoe with a flat bottom.
Exactly. No, my father would say the same, but you've got a little bit more of a reasonable.
Touche.
You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, I got to get a suit. I'm actually very looking forward to this because I watched a lot of James Bond, and I think I'm going to be very cool once I have my suit. Okay, so we go to the store. We go to get this suit, and I'm going to tell you I was a beanpole at 19, okay? Like, way slimmer than you see me in front of you now. And this guy's like, I've got the suit for you. This is the suit right here. And I put it on. I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like, I look like an idiot. And I'm like, why don't I look like James Bond?
Yeah.
I'm confused. I'm kind of angry at myself. Like, I feel like I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, be cooler.
What did I not do?
Be cooler, right?
Yeah.
I'm not cool. I'm not even a little bit. So this guy just hard sells us into this suit. I swear he got like a massive commission.
Where
on
were
it.
you?
I don't like to reveal that, but I'm going to, okay? Because it's just the truth, right? I'm not judging. I'm just reporting. I was at Tip Tops.
Oh.
And I no longer recommend people go there, but I've nothing against them, right? I wouldn't want to, whatever. I had a very bad experience personally. So I got this suit, and this is the heart of the story. So I had to go get some job interviews, or go to a bunch of job interviews. So all my friends, it's very easy as a co-op student to get a job. You're there for 3 months, 3.5. They don't pay you that much. And if they don't like you, they just don't hire you again. It's not messy.
Right.
Right? You're like on probation the whole time.
Yeah.
And you're just one of a ton of kids. Like, it's no problem. So I go to get a job. Most of my buddies, they get a job first, second, third time. Right?
Right.
Oh, you're 19, you're in business school. I love it, right?
Yeah.
I went to 50. I'm telling you, 50. I counted. And I did not get one job. We have a family friend my mom reached out to, and he hired me. I never got a job the fair way.
Out of pity.
The guy was like, yeah, okay, like, you're Isabel's son. Sounds great. Why don't you come aboard and stay here and just try not to fuck stuff up? Like they were like, if
and
we
your stupid, ill-fitting
oh
suits.
yeah yeah, if we had a canteen, you would work it, right? But we don't. No offense to the troops working canteens out there. I know it's an important job, but so that this is me. Okay, this is where I am, and I'm having one of those situations where I don't know what I don't know. Like, I don't know it's because the suit doesn't fit. I just don't look good in suits, as far as I know.
Is that for sure why you didn't get the job?
Well, maybe it's also my personality. I mean, you could see how ostentatious and abrasive it could be. So, but it's certainly a factor.
But all those things in a shitty suit. That's the last straw.
Exactly. Like, if
you're gonna act like this around me and your suit doesn't even fit right, get the fuck out of here.
Exactly.
I hear you. I'm with you.
And the type of personality you and I both have, it's a high risk, high reward strategy. And I'm telling you, if you don't look right, and you think you're going to kick in the door and tell people how to do things, it's not going to go right. So it was very simple. So anyways, I had this, like, I feel like I don't know what I don't know, but I know that I don't know something sort of moment. So I was like, I probably need to learn how to engage with others, which is something I thought I knew, but clearly I don't.
Yeah.
Right? At least I didn't have the pride to be like, no, it's always them.
If I was actually as smart as I thought I was at 19, right?
Right. So I was like, yeah, okay, I think I don't know how to communicate with others. I have a massive problem with that. 2, I feel like I don't know how to dress. I feel like I look like an idiot. So I go to Harry Rosen. Like anything, I'm like, okay, do you know Harry Rosen?
Harry Rosen is a much better choice than Tip Top.
Very high end store.
But
Beautiful
still
store.
off the rack.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, I love Harry Rosen. I never, at this time, I'd never owned a shirt from there or anything.
Right,
They were much
right.
out of my price point. Again, I'm a 19-year-old kid, right? But I walk in, I'm like, how do you get a job at Harry Rosen? They look at me, and they're like, have you ever worked in the industry before? I'm
Yeah.
like, no.
Yeah.
They're like, then get the hell out of here. They're like, you got to work at a Moore's, a Tip Tops, a Pinstripes. You got to work somewhere else. Before you.
Oh, okay.
But like anyone else, it's like, hey, if you want to know some of the military, Advance is there. You could just ask him.
Right.
You're not going to ask the private who's standing there. You always go
Yeah.
as high as you can,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So they tell me to beat it, and I go to Moore's the next day. They're like, well, one, you look terrible, but we'll take you. Okay, thank God.
Yeah.
I learn, it's like learning through a fire
So you
hose.
were one of the guys at Moores that would help people out.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Moores was my go-to
There you
until
go.
I discovered Sure Measure.
There you go.
But Moores lately, now they got their own custom line that
Mhm.
has just come out in the last little while that I see.
I think Moore's for its price point is a very quality product. I love Moore's. I will say the only thing is it can vary store to store. Our store was a very good store in terms
Where
of
was
customer service. This was in Waterloo. I went to Wilfrid Laurier University.
It's okay. So I was born in Kitchener, so I know Waterloo well.
Yeah.
And that's now. What's the market for good suits in Waterloo, though?
It's there, and it was growing while I was
Oh,
there
okay.
because you have to remember.
Was this before BlackBerry crashed and burned?
This was as BlackBerry was growing, and when I went to
okay.
school, BlackBerry was used as the positive example of global expansion of a company that was doing it right.
Right.
We didn't know that it was going to be like actually they weren't doing it as right.
Yeah.
At the time, I was in business school. Every class we talked about BlackBerry, so you can imagine there's tons of people entering the market for this. But the
Right.
point is, when I was at Moore's, I didn't make any commission. There's different rungs. I was the lowest rung.
Is this because you're still in business school?
Yeah, I was only
Okay.
part-time. It was all this. So I was always at the lowest rung. I didn't care at all. I was very keen to learn. So I would take wholesales. And then at the end, when I was done, somebody else would come and take the commission. And I never
Yeah.
minded that because it allowed me to learn. And that's what I wanted to do. And I would teach people. I'd have a great time because people would come into the store and they would be scared. They would come in and they'd be, imagine this, like visibly intimidated because they're like, they were like me at 19. Except for instead of being excited, they're like, I don't know what to do. This guy's going to treat me like I'm an asshole, like I don't
Yeah.
belong in the club. And because
Or he's going to try and sell me some shit I don't need.
either way, yeah, exactly. So anyways, I would have a great time just educating them. I'd be like, and it's just very easy. You ask them some questions. Okay, this. You're going to a wedding, you're going to a funeral, you're going to whatever your occasion is.
Yeah.
You have this job. Okay, this is what you need, and I'll make sure you look great. And people would come in and they would ask for me. People would be like, I want to talk to Jeff because he worked with my buddy Ben, or Jody told me about him, or that kind of thing. So it's very emotionally rewarding.
Nice.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
enjoyed being guy's guy. Guys
Being
yeah,
the go-to.
Yeah, just my shirt guy, just
Yeah.
my suit guy, right?
Yeah,
and I'd be
yeah.
like, I'm all these guys. And
You got to have a guy.
oh yeah, and nothing like people would come in, and then they bring their wife, and they, I'd be like, oh hi, I'm your husband's suit guy, and they'd be like, the husband's like, yeah, I have a suit guy. You know what I mean? Like, everyone's digging it, right? So, anyways, I graduated school, and I felt like I'd done enough time at Moore's to really learn. So I went to Harry Rosen, and I said, I talked to the same guys. They recognized me immediately when I walked in, except for instead of looking like a bum, I had a nice suit on.
Okay.
I said, hey, I just said, this is my resume. You can see it says Moore's for the last year, and I'm ready to serve. And they're like, can you start tomorrow? Yeah, boom. So
And this was Harry Rosen Waterloo?
this is Harry Rosen in Toronto.
Which one?
This was in North York at Fairview Mall, which was
Okay.
great because it's one of the smaller ones. So I was the low man on the totem pole the whole time, which meant everyone's job was to train me, and I got like harped on more than I do in the Army. It was like, all the time, right? I just, I would just sit there like Danielle's son in the Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. It'd be like just matching ties to shirts.
Nice.
Does it work? No. Does it work? Yes. No, that one doesn't work. Oh God, like that kind of a thing, right? And it was a great environment. I still talk to all my coworkers from there. And you know what? The reason I ended up working there a year was because the day before I went to Harry Rosen, I applied to be in the military.
Okay.
Because for me, the Twin Towers incident happened near the end of my high school. But I thought, I was like, the boys are going to go there, mop them up in a week. It's going to be done. But then in university, and I graduated in 2007. So you can imagine 06 and 07, what was on the news. I'm like, okay, the war is hot, and it doesn't look like it's stopping. So I applied in my last year of school. I got some very bad advice from a recruiter. If you're out there and you're thinking about joining the military, call me first. My number is on the website. I got some very bad advice. He told me to wait until I graduated. That was the biggest mistake I'd ever heard. I realized he didn't want to do the paperwork now. he was younger than me. Anyways,
Yeah.
it was very bad. And
What
then
do you like? Till you graduated university?
that's what he told me. And I wasn't affiliated with the military at this time, so it makes no sense. But anyways,
I've
it's-
heard a lot of bad advice stories from recruiters when we wonder why we can't keep up with our numbers.
I'm gonna listen to this. So I actually applied there, and it took a full year for me to get in. And I actually a full
Pretty typical.
Yeah, but I mean, during Afghanistan, by the time you get in, they're like, there's going to be no French training, there's going to be no this. You need to get to the war immediately. And you're like, well, then why'd I wait a year selling suits? I'm
Buddy.
glad I did.
Buddy,
It worked out, but I'm like, anyways,
how many good recruits do we lose because it takes more than 3 months?
most of them. I actually had already sort of told myself, I was like, okay, if it gets to this time, 1 year, I'm going to get a professional style job, which I was avoiding because I felt like once I got into a career path and a life,
Which is what happens to all our good recruits.
well, because people who, have a lot of talent and can do other things,
We'll find other things to do. if
somebody's
you're
going to
sitting
come
on
to
your
them.
ass.
If the Army's like, wait till we call you, and someone else is like, hey, do you want $100,000 to work for us? They're gonna be like, yeah, I think I'll take the 100,000 because
Yeah,
my
yeah.
country doesn't want me to serve.
Yeah.
I'm going
And
to tell you,
you-
I got a letter. You got to hear this, Joey.
Yeah.
I got a letter.
Uh-oh.
I still have it, and it says, it was after like 6 months of going through this process. It was like, sorry, thank you for your interest. However, you are physically unfit. I never did a PT test or anything, okay? You're physically unfit to do any trade in the military, officer, non-officer, or Air Force, Navy, Army. There's literally not one trade that you're physically qualified for. If I could find this overweight Navy medic who gave me that assessment, I would staple my Ranger tab to his face, okay?
Sounds like a appropriate response.
Yeah, I would say the only response.
Actually, I would say you should bayonet it
Yeah,
to his thigh.
I would make sure it's very visible.
We don't want to kill him.
No.
We just want to make sure he gets the message.
And that everybody who talks to him, they can say, "Why do you have that?" You're like, "Because I'm so incompetent.
Because I'm stupid.
This is the assessments that I
Yeah.
give people." So if I get,
Where did that come from?
I still don't know, but I think
Like, what initiated was it a mistake? Did he read one file and type your name? Do you think? Did you call someone and be like, "Hey, what up with this?"
I did. I called them. I said, "Excuse me," and I'll tell you, my family, and you should never tell people in your family. I'm not. My family hated the Army. They love the Army now. They love them
good.
now.
Typical.
They
Typical.
didn't like it at the time. Same. Parents are worried. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
They're worried from the best place, but they were pumped. They saw that letter. They were like, na 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 na. I was like, oh, you watch me work. So I called them up. I was like, what is going on here? And they're like, well, it says you're like physically unfit. I was like, why does it say that? Like you, it's like let's tell me. Like, well, it just says you're physically unfit. Like, man, there's got to be a reason. There's got to be like physically unfit because of X. It doesn't say
You hadn't taken any testing, you said.
no physical testing at all. I just
Medical testing?
yeah.
They
I mean, I guess they
hold your
took my
balls and
blood
cough?
work. Yeah, I don't know. Like, but that's the thing. It wasn't medically. It was physically unfit. So I'm like, okay. They're like, well, you need to go see a doctor and get a note saying you're physically fit. I said, oh. All I did was I go to my family doctor. I'm like, I just need a note that says physically fit. They're like, yeah, well, we could do that for you. Like, you know what I mean? And so at this point, I'm going to tell you something. I was scared because I'm from Toronto. I don't know anyone in the military. And I played a lot of video games and I watched a lot of movies. And I'm thinking that like your baseline private
Yeah.
is like a JTF 2+ guy now. I'm
Yeah.
thinking, and I tell you, when I joined the Army, I was about 30 or 40 pounds heavier of muscle. I've lost a lot of weight since we started this business. That happens when we work 18 hours a day, don't eat enough,
Right,
etc. Right? I mean,
right.
I was a fit guy when I joined, right? And I'm thinking, I'm like, these guys are going to eat my lunch.
Right.
I went to basic and I was like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was a hard chill pill. I was like, I mean, it was
You're
out
that
of
guy
control.
that shows up and the recruiters are like, the trainers like, fuck.
Yeah, like, oh, damn it.
We got another one of these guys.
Yeah, and I was very gung-ho. I was like, man, you throw a piece of meat at me,
Yeah.
and I mean, I'd run a dog on it,
Yeah.
And I get to this place. It's actually very funny. I didn't mean to tell a story. I'm not trying to hate on the Army, but this is even back then at the war. I walk into this place, and I go to this guy. He's a master seaman, but I don't know this at the time. I just know it's not what I'm thinking as an Army soldier uniform, right?
Yeah.
What we call CAD pad in combats now, but I didn't know that. So I walk up to him. I said, I got this piece of paper, right? And I'm like, a dumbass, right?
Is this Saint Jean?
I'm in St. Jean,
Yeah.
and you better believe I'm well dressed too, right? Like they said, wear like shirt, collar, and the whole thing. I'm good to go. I'm well dressed, but I have running shoes on because I also know
You're
if somebody
ready.
throws
You're just
something, I'm
fucking ready.
kicking the door in. Like
You're
I,
fucking-
yeah.
Oh, hey, welcome. 5K run, go.
Yeah, good to go. I'll be like, man, I'll run in a suit, but I ain't wrecking my Kenneth Coles. I'll tell you that right now. So that's the thing.
That's reasonable.
It's exactly right. I can't afford those James Bond shoes, whatever he's got. Not at this point, anyway. So I tell this guy, I go, excuse me, I think I'm very confused, and I think I'm in the wrong room. And they're like, well, why is that? I was like, well, because I'm here to join the Army, so I'm expecting like a lot of football player looking guys. And I'm in a room with a lot of, older folks and very heavy folks. And the whole thing. So I'm like, and anyways, the guy's like, a very French accent, which I can't emulate. I don't even try. But like, you are in the right room. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was going to be scarier than this. So I'm doing okay now.
Yeah,
okay, all right, I'm good. Good.
Really?
Oh,
Old, overweight people were on your basic.
Yeah, this is 2009. I'm talking like when you and the boys were out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got hit in Jan 07, but
still, the boys were out there.
I remember on my basic course in 94, we had two guys that were in their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like,
yeah,
they were rock solid. They were like chiseled.
Yeah.
I was like, why would you guys join at your age? Like, I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, one guy was like 42 and the other guy was 40 something. I'm like, but they were fit. Like, they were like,
they were examples, if you will.
They made the rest of us look bad.
That's awesome.
But I'm like, they were just, just needed a job for the summer and always wanted to do it and whatever. So, but what you're telling me is
a different story. Different story.
Oh,
yeah.
And it's weird to me. And again, we're starting to bag on the Army a little bit or the military. But what's our standard?
Well, that's the thing. We're bagging on the Army because we're hoping someone's going to hear this and be like,
And
dude, we got to raise our standard because pretty soon everyone's going to know Jody and Jeff, and they're gonna expose the lack of a standard.
Well, there is a standard, but is it because we're trying to accommodate too much?
What do you think? I think.
Well, I know what you think, and I know what I think. And I think, like, to me, there's some things in life that should be zero compromise.
Agreed.
And if you can't do the PT test, you can't fucking do the PT test. And adios, muchacho.
Agreed.
And if that means we recruit less people, we get quality over quantity.
Agreed.
I
mean, it's all about. I mean, the thing
but
about
that's easy for us to say. We don't have an army to run.
That is easy for us to say, and I've certainly never faced any of the situations you've faced.
Hang on. I think.
No, they respect this podcast too much.
No. They might be looking for this table.
That's what I'm saying.
Hang on 1 second. Who are you guys with? Yeah, we have their table. Okay, hang on. We're just going to pause for a second. And we're back. So that was good because my little girl bladder was getting full there anyway. I chugged about a liter of water, and then Em was nice enough to bring me a coffee just as we were going live. Well, not live, but, recorded. We had commandeered someone's table, and then they showed up. Day and Ross. What are they? They're a moving company, right?
Yeah, they
Freight.
Took the high ground back from us. Good for them.
We tactical withdrawal.
Yeah. We never retreated ever.
No, we're just repositioning to.
Now we got this sweet motorcycle power station
for tactical advantage.
All right, so let me tell you. We started bagging on the military standard a little bit, and we didn't mean to get negative.
This lemon
like
water?
Yeah, only the
delicious.
best. Well, we've got a city councilor here. Am I right? So I'll tell you. I'm 31. I was 30. You kind of get at that age where you're like, I've loved the Army, and I know I'll miss it if I leave because it's exactly what you said in the book. It's like, what are you going to miss? You're going to miss the camaraderie in the field. Okay, like field stories are the best stories, and now I'm not going to have any more of them.
Right.
And the camaraderie for me is the best part. I know I'm always going to miss that.
Right.
And there's like sort of, I don't know if it's a competitive aspect, but there's, it's a physical thing. It's fun. You have teammates. I mean,
You're held to a standard.
You're held to a standard. And
by your friends, and a standard that, honestly, in the civilian world is tough to come by.
It's tough to come by, and if you want to do it in the civilian world, you've got to enforce it yourself. Like, for instance, I'll go on an example of that. Is how a lot of times when you're in the military, people say, man, you're looking really fit, or you're really fit. It must be from the military. And a lot of times people don't realize, well, you spend so much time in the field that actually your fitness level can often actually go down due to the fact that you're not sleeping and eating correctly. And then it's because you and all your friends do have such a high standard of yourselves and your lives and your physical fitness that the minute you're back, even though all you want to do is like eat McDonald's for 2 weeks, you know, which is true, right? Especially on a Winter X for me. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I just dream of McDonald's like the whole time. And then you get back, but everyone's hitting the gym so hard. Everyone's running so much. Everyone's getting back into it and playing sports.
Yeah.
You know, like and there's no leagues because you're away so long. It's just like, okay, like for the next 2 weeks, we're going to play basketball every single day. And then we're still hitting the weights. You know, we do crazy stuff like that. And it's because your peer group. Whereas in the civilian world, it's all got to be yourself because the only standards imposed are yours.
It's taken me a while, but I'm starting to find the peer group that is conducive with my mindset.
But you had to build it. It wasn't
taken
just
a long
there.
time.
It wasn't just at the one RCR lines that you report to every day. You had to build it through
But
yourself.
even, you know what, dude?
And attract it.
Even in battalion, I had to. You have
100%.
I had to be around the right kind of. Like I had guys I would party with and hang out with. Never wanted to work with.
100%.
Like it'd be like, yeah, man, we're going to the gym. You coming? Nah, I'm gonna eat this pizza and watch TV. And you're like, yeah, which is one more reason why you'd never make recce platoon. But anyway,
exactly.
see you later.
And WPT. I know, but it's a little bit easier though when you've got military trained people. That's where you report to. That's the culture.
And then also though, within my peer group now, some of them are ex-military, and it's like now they're civilians, but they get it.
And you're still going to hold yourselves at standard because when you're having a week, a month, or whatever of weakness, that guy's like, "Hey, Jody," and then when it's your turn to pick them up, it's going to happen.
100%,
it's going to happen. So we have a massive advantage in terms of that cultural.
I actually want to open a gym. That's one of the reasons why I
Really?
did that entrepreneur course, the Princess Charities one.
Really?
Now, knowing that you went to business school, I'm going to go ahead and say you probably don't need that course. But again, the contacts you would make if you became involved, at least as a
100%.
as a mentor. You
I'd
should be a
love
mentor.
I'd love to mentor some of them. That's why, today when Canada Company asked, they said, "Hey, we'd love to have you do a Dress for Success presentation because we think that's a missing part of our programming." And they're like, how much will it require, for you to travel here?
What time is that at today?
That's at 3:30, 15:30. If you could make it, I would love it if you'd make
I'll
it.
do my best.
I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
But I asked them, and it's a no-go. I was going to ask you if you would introduce me, because I know you'd give a hell of an introduction. Unfortunately, it's actually a sponsored event, and the sponsor gets the intro, and I'm very excited.
Who's your sponsor?
Johnson Control. So we massively have to thank them.
Yeah.
And, of course, we took none of that sponsorship money. We traveled here on our own dime. This is, to us, this is a...
Did you really?
Yeah.
This is good for you guys.
Yeah, and, I mean... As much as sometimes, it wasn't super easy to get the time from the chain of command. I love those guys.
Dude, I have no doubt.
It wasn't because they don't love it. They do. Once I explained it. But at first, they're like, what? You're going to give a Dress for Success presentation on Army time? What are you talking about?
Right, but once you explain to them that from the top, they want to put more emphasis on helping guys transition, that's where the support should come from. But, in my, you're not with a battalion, you're with the school, right?
That's correct.
From the school or the battalion or even the regimental point of view, all that shit is great that the military wants to do that, but I got to run my shit.
Exactly.
So if you're the adjutant of one PPCLI and some guy says, yeah, I'm going to go do this Canada Company thing, and you go, well, I need you to do this. And I get it. That's awesome. This is great that the Army's doing that, but I got my shit I got to do, and I need you here. So I see the dichotomy in the thinking.
Easily. The thing is that what the Army demands of that unit doesn't change just because they've released people to go and help with a bigger picture, important item.
And guys get upset, and I was upset too with the regiment for a little bit because, if you feel like they're not checking in on you, and it's tough to get a hold of your buddies and stuff like that. But the battalion's job, the combat unit job, is to look forward.
Yes, it is always.
And, if you think about when we did our first battle, like real battle during Ot Medusa, we left 3 vehicles on the field. We lost guys, and we of course never leave a royal behind. But some of their equipment gets left because. That's just what happens. Shit falls off the big green machine, and it's going in one direction. So, the military had to come up with these JPSUs, and it had to come up with the what do they call that? The unit to support the wounded. I forget what it is right now, because you can't ask one RCR to take care of its wounded because it's got one job. Its job is to move forward and make contact with the enemy. and to say, hey, now put resources into the guys that got left behind, I think it's counter to the thinking that's required in a unit where people are supposed to go off into harm's way.
No, I agree.
Does that make sense?
100%. I mean, to be one thing that does make, I think, military successful and makes people who adopt military values, like you and I have, relatively successful, is that singularity of purpose, right? Like, their job is to close and destroy the enemy. All the other jobs are, in fact, secondary, and everyone intuitively knows it and understands it until they feel left behind.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. Like I was upset for a bit, but I got over it eventually. But when you have both legs blown off, you go through a lot of emotion.
Yours is a very significant one. But me being like, "Hey, can I come to Canada Company?" and they're like, "What the heck is that?" That's different. That's like they're like, "Whoa, well, I mean, because the units, but the infantry school actually is. They have to be very forward thinking as well because they are the ones who write the doctrine." That is
taught to the guys.
That is taught to the guys who are going to go to the unit. So the only way for us to stay ahead is for the infantry school to employ all of its people to maximum potential.
Yeah.
Right. Because there's a lot of work to be done, and like everywhere, they're understaffed. But I did explain to them, and they were like, actually, this is an amazing cause, and we think it would actually bring credit on the school as well. So
it will. So listen, I know we haven't been talking that long, but I do have to get to a meeting, and I was behind today. So we were talking about why you guys started making custom shirts. So the day you woke up and said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to make custom shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me that with that day.
All right, so I was at that point, and I will tell you, if I don't think this is a secret, I did JTF2 selection twice, and I completed them both times, and at the end they were just like, dude, like, you did the test, but you're just not for us. And I'd after the war was over, I had gone into the mentality like, if you want to go on operations, you need to be in the soft community at this time.
Right.
And I kind of had, and I love CSOR, I absolutely do. So I immediately was like, okay, I'm going to reorient on CSOR. But I will say, being sort of barred from the top, what I perceive to be the top, because I understand a lot of, there's a lot of, CSOR is apparently on the same level, the whole thing. But I had for a long time romanticized as JTF2 as being the top unit. When I was sort of barred from them, my mind opened up to other possibilities as opposed to having the same singularity of purpose that I'd always had in my military career. And I thought, okay, I am the type of person who, if I'm going to do something, I want to be the very best at it. And,
right.
And the idea that I couldn't be in the military, that there was sort of an artificial glass ceiling, because to me, I was never about the rank thing. That was just not my thing. My thing was about performing at the highest level on a tactical level.
How do you think I achieved the lofty position of Master Corporal?
No, I know. You and I are on the same page. I don't want to be the boss. I'd like to be a ground leader, that type of thing. And when I found out I could be the best, I was heartbroken. And then, it's really as simple as my mind just opened up, and I started making some connections and calling the right people and a lot of things. And then one day I came home, and we're going to get M on the record on this one as well. I came home, and I said, look, Em, here's the deal. We're going to start the world's most dangerous dress shirt company, and it's going to be the greatest clothing company that ever existed.
Right.
She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, we need to make some videos. We need to make a website. I don't know how to do those things, but we need to do them yesterday.
Immediately.
This is the good part, though, I think you'll like. So I called up my house, and my mom picks up the phone. I said, okay, here's what needs to happen. I need you to open up your laptop, and I need you to get James, that's my brother, on the phone.
Right.
As well. Put the phone on speaker.
Is James like an internet expert or something?
James is not an internet expert. Okay, James is a year younger than me. He's like my clone, but taller and better looking.
Right.
God damn it. Anyway, so he, I said, all right, I go, now you guys need to go to jeffalpaw.com. They're like, oh my God, right? Like Jeff's at it again kind of thing. So I said, just go to the site. And they go to the site, like, this site's pretty cool. I was like, yeah. I was like, here's the deal. We're going to start a clothing company that's going to be the greatest clothing company in the world.
Right.
And and here's the problem is that I made this site. I sent it out to a few friends to check. One of them put it on Facebook, and now we have 7 orders for shirts. But we have no way to actually make any shirts. Right? I believe strongly in forcing the process. This is why the bureaucracy actually gets me down a lot, right? So so here's what needs to happen, James. I know, like, if you don't know, all clothing in the world is made in Vietnam. If you go to most high-end brands, they're made in Vietnam.
Right.
I was like, I've made some connections in Vietnam. I was like, you need to be prepared to move to Vietnam in 7 to 10 days. You need to get your visa, and you need to move there. Emily is going to meet you there. She's going to go down, and she's going to train you for 3 weeks. And then you're going to run our operation in Vietnam. And
right.
And my brother, he said, look,
sounds reasonable.
Yeah, and I'm sure anyone can demand this of their family. So, and James, he just said, I'm going to tell you, this business is going to fail, but I'll do it. And I'll never forget.
So what he's thinking, free trip to Vietnam.
Totally. You're paying, right? He's like, oh, yeah. Anyways, I'll tell you, I'll never forget it about the 4-month mark when he's like, do you realize this is going to be the Nike of dress shirts? I was like, that's what I've been saying this whole time.
Okay, but hang on.
Yeah.
Let's rewind a little bit. You didn't just like where were you? Were you having a coffee? Were you at supper? Were you drinking with the boys? And suddenly it was like dress shirts. They're dangerous. They're custom. Boom. Let's do this.
Okay, I'm glad. So this is the moment the lightning struck.
Okay.
So Emily and I, we were on vacation last Christmas, and we were in Vietnam, and I always wanted to go to Vietnam. My plan was, okay, even though I begged for it, I never actually went to Afghanistan. But my plan was that on my HLTA, I would go to Vietnam. Everyone else goes to Thailand, gets suits made in Thailand. It's a big mistake, but we'll talk about that later. But all the good stuff's made in Vietnam. So I was like, I'm going to go to Vietnam. I'm going to pay a lot for a suit, but I'm going to get like Hugo Boss Armani, but I'm going to get it with a no-name brand price in a country where our dollar is much stronger. Right. And there's this one place specifically that I really wanted to get my stuff made because it's where all the textile manufacturing is done. So I was like, anyways, we were on like a bit of a bus, with other tourists kind of thing.
Yeah,
we got off at like a Greyhound bus stop. If you can imagine that in Vietnam, it's not actually a Greyhound, but a big bus. It's a goat rodeo. Okay. It's chaos. We get off the bus. I'm like dying. I'm in a wife beater and I'm still dying. Right. Like it's just so hot there. And I look and there's this guy. He's like 50 meters away. Okay. This is a true story. And everyone is just like, looks like hot and dying, like whatever, doing that. And there's this one guy and he's in this shirt.
Yeah.
And like out of 200 people, you'd only notice this guy. And I was like, Em, are you seeing this guy? This guy was like charisma 1,000 times. Okay.
Yeah.
And he's just standing there. And she's like, oh yeah, I see that guy. I'm like, man, we gotta go talk to this guy, right? So I walked over to him. And this was one of those moments where it was appropriate and I unholstered the knife hand. I walked up to this guy, I said, look, that is the most dangerous shirt I have ever seen in my life. Where did you get that?
Nice.
And I'm gonna tell you, that question sparked the whole thing. And people always
changed your life.
People always ask me, they're like, you must be some kind of a marketing genius to call the shirts dangerous. I'm like, oh yeah, like a lot of metrics went into that.
Of course I am.
A lot of metrics, a lot of research. You wouldn't be able to think of anything nearly as creative. So no, that's.
So was he a local?
He was. I think he was American. Oh, he's a Canadian. Sorry, he's a fellow Canadian, and he's like, dude, and I was like, I'm looking at all these tailor shops. We've done all my research. He's like, dude, have you heard of this one? I'm like, yeah, I've heard of that one. He's like, these are the guys. And then, I went there and I got all kinds of the craziest clothes made up. Like Don Cherry would be proud kind of clothes,
Nice.
like aggressive.
Hey, how did your thing to get his attention go?
Not yet, but I remain optimistic.
Here's the way, for me as a podcast guy, like Joe Rogan is someone I'd love to meet and be on his show. And for years, just slow, but you don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm actually friends with one of his friends now.
Yeah.
I've met a few people in his entourage, so to speak.
Right.
But, I just consider that like I'm like circling the drain.
Yeah.
And eventually it'll be my time.
Yeah.
Or maybe it never will.
Yeah.
And maybe my podcast, maybe one day will get his attention and he'll call me. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is, you just keep trying.
I agree.
But you don't want to be that guy.
I did force it there, and I will agree with you. But I still think it's going to take probably a year or so of work. But I think
you
we'll
never
get there.
know though, man.
Yeah.
Like, he hears you're looking for him. He knows what you're making, and maybe he calls you.
Yeah.
You never know.
It'd be like the time when Jody Mitic added us to Facebook and wrote us, and we were like,
I read an article about you guys.
Our hands were very sore from high-fiving after that. I'll tell you, man. We were like up, Top Gun. You know what I mean? Like up and down.
Little slappy make daddy happy. Psh, psh. No, what happened is I saw you guys I feel like somebody posted an article on Facebook.
Yeah.
And it was from the Fredericton...
The Daily Gleaner.
Whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
And I looked at it and I went, that's pretty dope.
That's
and then
awesome.
I told Brian McDonald to reach out to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I just started like posting it around because, when you see like I said, when you see somebody getting after it, especially something so like who would think an infantry combat guy is going to turn around and go, yeah, I'm going to make custom shirts. and they're going to be dope. And I'm actually going to put a lot of my effort into it.
I do think, not to toot our own horn too much, I think a lot of people appreciate us because, I mean, there's not a lot of designers who are airborne rangers. You know, like when you think of a clothing designer, you don't think this guy is either in a suit or he's sleeping on the ground with his grunt buddies. And I think a lot of like guys like you would be a great example where, you know, you don't want to go in and talk to some guy who doesn't get it. You're like, okay, so you're an airborne ranger, so you get it. You're a man on the side. But you also have a schmick about clothing. And I think a lot of people appreciate that. It's like, I'm coming in here, like I'm talking to a fellow man. Okay, like this guy gets it.
And I've talked to enough guys now that like get your stuff and they love it and they like it, and in the new world of, like I said, I found Sure Measure because I would go to Moores as much as I enjoyed, and I was a part of their club, and they would call me and give me gift certificates. Could never get a shirt that fit right.
You're way too tall, man.
Could
This
never
is never
get,
going to work.
even their tall shirts, which
you're going to float
just
in.
about fit. I have to get extra large.
You're going to float
and
in.
it looks like I'm wearing a parachute around my waist, and it drives me bananas.
There's just no way.
And so you go to these places, and it's not any more money. It's a little bit more because I get my initials, and I pick out the good buttons, but it's only like we're talking maybe 15% more. And I get a shirt that fits me, and it's wonderful. My suit fits me.
It fits you. You get to add your own creativity to it.
So when you see stuff like that, like I like it, and then but also when you see it coming from someone from my background, I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty fucking cool. So that's how it really got my attention. This place is starting to fill up, eh?
It is now. I have to get. I'm going to say one more thing, and again, it's tooting our own horn. But I mean, you don't get a lot of opportunities with Jody, so you got to go for it. You know, I do think some people to appreciate. You know, a lot of guys in the military, they get out, and there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, you got to go with what you know. Do what you know because you got to be an expert in it. But a lot of people said, you know, it's cool to see a veteran doing something that isn't, you know, just pew aimed at other veterans, like army stuff, right? It's like, you know, like, hey, just trying to hard sell every other army guy into his stuff. It's like, hey, man, if army guys are into it, great, they should be, because an army guy should be loud and proud. Let's face it. But I mean, it appeals to everybody.
100%. Like a custom shirt is a custom shirt. Like it doesn't have to be just army. Like I wear a bunch of those like Article 15 shirts. I get Ranger Up. I get Zulu Foxtrot because I want to support those guys.
And they're awesome.
And I'm waiting for the Canadian equivalent, frankly, which I mean I might just have to do myself.
You might. I'm hoping to be some kid that I get to mentor on the way up. Once I'm established enough and I know how to really help guys out.
But one of the problems we have in the Canadian military is we're not that big.
That is true.
To build a product on solely like selling to Canadian like combat veterans, it's tough.
Very difficult. And you know what? There is a massive divide in our military, which is unfortunate. And
I don't think it's just our military.
No. And
the American military is just as bad.
Of course, but once you start dividing numbers that are already small, right? You know, like the Patricias love it, the Royals are getting into it, the Vandus obviously love it. I mean, I honestly think like I'm a Frenchman who was born Anglo. Like, you know,
probably
they're like, like the most dangerous, aggressive custom dress shirts. Can I get 100 kind of thing? Obviously,
I'm gonna need 1,000 immediately. You know, probably the CO of like the regimental commander's like, so we're gonna need one for each guy. In the regiment.
I don't think we would have gotten off the ground if it wasn't for those Vandus. So God bless every single one of them.
That's awesome,
right? And then and that's starting to filter. Okay, you see some artillery guys wearing it. You see a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Right?
Yeah, when I met, who was the guy that introduced us?
Made the connection? Was his name Dave Smith by any chance?
Yeah. So he told me, like, because I asked him about you, and he told me, like, you know, hard charger, this, that, the other thing, blah, blah, blah. But he took me out to talk to the class that he was instructing on.
Mm-hmm.
Half of them were probably wearing your shirts.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow. It's almost for a second it felt like, you know, when you went to recruit school and they made you buy those stupid T-shirts.
Yeah,
for a
but it was
second,
the opposite. It was a shirt you could be proud.
Yeah. It's like everyone's buying this, but they actually want to wear it.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't be like you will buy this or you're not part of the platoon. It's like
Anyway, I gotta be honest. I'm getting a little.
Getting worried about the
time.
Shit!
No, I gotta get down to my office. Holy crap! Time goes by. This was dope. Again, I apologize for last night.
Wait 1 second. will you be coming back, or do I also need to get in a quick measure of you right meow?
Right meow. We don't have to do it right meow.
Well, you're going to come back?
We will see each other before you leave.
Okay.
I can't promise I'll be back here,
No,
but I
okay.
can probably find you tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah. Obviously, all my buddies are Army buddies. We'd love to see you, so don't
Yeah.
worry about that.
Yeah. I want one of your shirts pretty bad. Oh,
You need the custom
Hang on,
on. You
hang
need to
on.
measure you up.
so I know we talked about you doing my shirt for the bodybuilding show. So, folks, I know we don't have Coach Luke Rowan here with us because he's out killing deer and stocking the fridge. And Jeff was nice enough to come on the show and give us the one that we need for this week. And I have an announcement that I have had to pull myself out of the bodybuilding show for a whole lot of reasons. But honestly, I'll be very frank. The biggest one was mental health. It was just one thing that was weighing heavily on my mind, and I just couldn't afford it. Because it's not one of those like projects that you can go into and come to the deadline and be mostly ready and still pull it off and kind of look okay.
The conditions need to be set for success.
Yeah. And it became very clear at some point, and I got sick again, and I don't know why I was getting sick so many times. So I'm gonna have my immune system checked if I can. And anyway, I just realized I'm like, you know what, like it's not gonna happen. So I made the real tough choice, and I'm announcing it now, and I'll put it on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that jazz. Jody 3.0 is not dead. But the goal of a six-pack before I'm 40, I think I'll have a six-pack while I'm 40. Hey?
I love it.
Huh?
I love it. Don't worry about age. Don't worry about timelines like that. It will
That's
be
easy
there.
for you to say at 31. But anyway, hey, man. Yeah, getting blown up. It's 10 years in January. I'll be 40 in January. I did achieve a lot. Like, I'm back in my old high school size pants. I get told I look fitter and I'm
You
better.
do look good.
Yeah, and so I achieved what I wanted, which was to feel like I did when I blew up, right? Like I wanted that fitness, at least appearance. We all know that looking fit and being fit are two different things.
Yes, they are.
But in my new world, looking fit's good enough.
Oh, 100%.
Really. And it still takes a level of dedication. And
completely.
But anyway, so one of the most dangerous shirts will be on my body soon. And then once I do the show, we will have one on. And we got to figure out how to get it so that it fits me perfectly on the day of.
Oh, we will.
And because it will only fit for that day.
That's
and that's
fine.
fine.
That's fine.
That's fine. Because that'll be well worth the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally.
Yeah. So with that, I'm going to wrap this bitch up and say thanks for being on the show. You wanted M to say something. Just say hi, M. Just give the microphone to her and say hi.
Em's my fire team partner. I don't go, we don't go anywhere if we're not attached to the hip. So I just wanted to say hello to the people and say how much she's enjoying Dangerous dress shirts.
Hey, everybody. I am enjoying Dangerous dress shirts, but I very much enjoyed listening to these stories because they were actually hilarious. I know you can hear me laughing in the background, but it was incredible listening to you guys.
Well, thanks for being here and thanks for backing this guy up because every good man has a better woman behind him. And, I hope that you guys enjoyed the podcast. And Luke will be back and he can put it up soon. Jody's too dumb to figure that out. And, I'll record some sponsors before and after before we do that. So this is Jody Mitic with Jeff Alpa on the Jody Mitic podcast. And we're out.
Nice.
And that was episode 24 with Jeff Alpa, the world's most dangerous dress shirts.
So good.
The story about him finding the dress shirts, you're going to like.
Yeah.
I know you haven't heard it yet, but
That's right.
you're going to enjoy it. It's pretty badass, actually.
Right on.
Because I said to him, I was like, how did you come up with a name like that?
Yeah.
And he tells the story, and you're just like, that's dope. That's a really cool, like, backstory to the name. Yeah. So, anyway, that was episode 24. Hope you guys liked it. And like I said, 25, we're going to get to all your questions. Luke and I are just going to bro out a little bit now and maybe watch I don't know. We want to curb your enthusiasm.
Yeah, of
have
course.
A few drinks.
Yep. I like
eat
it.
too much food.
Oh yeah.
Because I gave myself most of the month of November,
Yeah, treat yourself.
and I got a little fat,
Nah, you're good.
but I got turned back on. I can feel it. My body's ready.
It's ready to
It's
go.
ready to
again.
go again. What do you think of my phone?
Ooh, so slick.
You know how I said I was over the size of my 6 Plus?
Yeah.
It's true. At first, sorry guys. I went out and I decided, you know what? Early Christmas present for me and the wife.
Yep.
I got her some new iPhone 7s. She wanted the Plus.
Right.
So I got her one. But the 6 and the 7 are the same size, so there's no like case envy.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Except I got her the 7 Plus,
Right.
which has 2 cameras on the back for 3D action.
Oh shit.
Or something like that. So she slammed it into an old 6 Plus case I have.
Yeah.
So the camera doesn't work.
Aha.
So
yeah.
me, because I've been rocking my phone, no screen cover, no like phone cover for a while.
Yeah.
And it's good.
You've gone wild. Yeah.
So like the first couple days or the first day, I think I might have mentioned to you,
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I made a mistake.
Yeah.
No, I love it.
Yeah. You're in.
Back to this size.
It's super thin, actually.
It's thin,
Yeah.
but it's also the right size. Like you put it up to your ear.
Yeah.
I can hold it in my hand. I got big ass hands.
Yeah, you do.
And
You got a set of mitts
I
on
got
you.
a set of fucking meat hooks here.
Yeah.
And the 6 Plus was still a little bit too big
right.
because you could never be sure that your whole hand was getting around it.
Right.
And that was one of the reasons why I took the case off, because with the case it was even bigger, of course.
Yeah.
Because I had the OtterBox, one of the OtterBox styles, but not like the big, huge, like construction zone size.
Yeah. You don't need to drive.
It was
a truck
like
on
it was called. Mine was called the Commuter.
Right.
So it was a little thinner. It was more like a business guy. Like you're on the subway or
Sure.
whatever.
Of course.
But it's still like I would fall out of my pocket, and I would drop it at least once a day.
Yeah.
Without a case, I have never dropped my phone
Okay.
because you're just more aware.
That's
Right? You
right.
take the time to make sure you have the grip.
Yep.
And it's thin enough that the grip is not a problem. So anyway, I got a regular size 7. Loving it. Oh, Kira already added a couple of My Little Pony stickers at the back.
Got a couple nice stickers there. Yeah.
She made
excellent.
sure today. She was like, "Oh, hey, Daddy, I noticed that you don't have stickers on your new phone."
Yeah.
Bang,
Weird.
bang. Here's a
There you
couple
go.
of.
There you
Here's
go.
a boy and a girl. My Little Pony.
Awesome.
And I was like, "Oh, you're the best little girl." So yeah.
right on.
So anyway, I highly recommend it. But it's funny because it's 240 gigs, and I'm like, what am I?
It's
Remember
out of
when
control.
1 gig was like the size of this lamp next to us?
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's so awesome. And
I remember like buying like 8 more megabytes of RAM.
Megabytes.
Like, and my dad's like putting it into his computer, and he's like, "Hold on to your hats.
Yeah.
This is getting awesome."
strap in, kids.
Yeah.
8 megabytes is coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I remember when I bought like my first Dell computer in like
Right.
2000.
Yeah.
And I had money because I just got back from Kosovo.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, just give me the biggest, baddest hard drive. And they're like, well, what do you want for RAM? And I'm like, whatever the best is.
All of it.
Yeah, all of it. I like got the computer, this big, huge tower.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh yeah, showing it off to my buddies in the barracks. Turn it on, and I'm bragging. I'm like, sounds like an F-18 spooling up to supersonic.
That's
Because
right.
it would be like the fan would be going. And I think I used it mostly for email and dating sites.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Because the internet was still like, remember back then it would be like a quarter of the screen at a time would come down.
Yes. Painful.
MSN Messenger.
Oh my god.
Remember that?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
Campus Kiss or whatever.
Campus Kiss. I don't know that.
That was like, it was one of those precursor sites to Facebook, but it was used mostly for hooking up.
Okay, I remember MSN. I remember ICQ.
I remember that.
ICQ was big for a while.
I was a big guy. I was on Lava Life.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Whenever I was single, I had my Lava Life profile up.
Okay.
Yeah. Lab of Life was good to me.
Right on.
I guess now they use Grinder.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
no. Grinders. Well, yeah, Grinder is for if you're gay. Tinder's for if you're gay or bi.
Oh, is that what's going on?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm pretty sure Grinders only for gay dudes. I heard.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Tinder for sure is the one for guys and girls.
Yes.
But I think there's like a bunch of them now too, though.
Probably.
I heard there's one called Bumble, which uses your Facebook.
Right.
Which sounds really smart if you're like married.
Oh yeah, super smart.
How many marriages end because of Tinder, you think?
Many.
Like all of them?
Let's say many. Yes. Yeah.
100%. Let's stop talking before we get in trouble.
For sure.
Anyway, you want my old phone?
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah?
I'll take that 100%.
Yeah, you can have that.
I'm a big
We're
phone
bros.
guy.
We're buddies.
I appreciate that, man.
I
That's
still
awesome.
think, though, a 4S sized phone
Yeah.
with the capabilities of this would be in my pocket tomorrow.
Yeah. The 4S, I mean, we've talked about it before, right?
The 4 and 4S
So
were like
good.
were the
So
pinnacle of the
Yeah.
iPhone hardware.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was really tough, got everything done. But if they made it like they make this one now, right? Like you wouldn't need the border,
That's
right? 'Cause
right.
remember how much the screen you lost to like the border?
Yeah, a ton.
And if they use the new like the iPhone 8 apparently is going to be like one whole screen. Like there won't be any black on it at all.
It's just all screen front and back.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that.
Quote me on that for sure. For sure. I'll talk to them.
Yo, Apple, check. Peep this,
yeah,
son.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to watch some Curb Your Enthusiasm Season 1 on Crave.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening. Subscribe on iTunes and YouTube. And we're going to start having YouTube videos in the next month to 3 months, depending on where we go. Follow us on Twitter. It's just the Jody Mitic Podcast everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat. We're going to keep talking about, even though we've never used it. And we'll have a website soon. If you want to send us a message, it's the Jody Mitic Podcast at gmail.com. Do us a favor, review and comment on iTunes. It really helps us when we're trying to get sponsors, which we are getting.
Yep.
And our check is in the mail, apparently.
You bet.
And it just helps us get our sponsors because then we can show where the audience is coming from and show them the value of being partners with the show. And we love you guys, and we know you love us, and we appreciate everything you guys say and do for us, and spreading the word and keeping with us and being loyal and supporting us. And we're loyal, and we love you guys too. And as we always say, we're what do we always say?
We are the good guys.
We are the good guys. And in the world there's bad guys, and we're going to be the good guys. We're the good guys, and we're out.